I was found lifeless, blue, full-blown cardiac arrest, dead on my couch. Opiates, 3 or 4 days partying, and next thing you know, I'm not even breathing. And there's this doctor guy, I'll never forget. He said, young man, if your friends wouldn't have got you here within about 2 more minutes, you wouldn't be with us anymore on earth. The home that I owned was gone. The cars that I owned were gone. The 3 or 4 credit cards and bank accounts were gone. Anybody who loved me didn't want anything to do with me at that point. I'm a frequent flyer to jails, hospitals, and institutions. People would tell me, like, you're physically dependent on this substance, you know, and I didn't even know that at the time. And I never thought that would ever be this guy right here, me. They reviewed my rap sheet, you know, the district attorney and the public defender, and they're like, the jails just don't seem to be working for you. You've already been arrested countless times, and they're all drug and alcohol related. Do you want to change? And so long story short, I go into this place and I'm just absolutely broken. That was my first taste of actual true recovery and true sobriety. That place introduced me to a 12-step program where I got involved, and I really started to just go all in.
Do you have anything to say to people that want to be done, but they're not done, they're still using, people that are thinking about AA or just sober, like, you know what I'm saying, that guy?
I mean, honestly,
dude, good to see you. I'm definitely excited to talk to you, man. I did not know you were half Japanese. I went to a reform school for a couple years, and like one of my really close friends there was Japanese, lived in Hawaii and stuff, but he would try to explain to me the concept of honor. And like, he was like, Westerners cannot grasp that concept of honor. And he said it's a way bigger accountability than like integrity. It's so much deeper. Like, you dishonor your family and you don't have a son. He was trying to explain it, and I kind of grasped it. And I was like, man, that's intense. Like, everything, like, don't dishonoring your family, your name, the worst thing you could do. Is that something you relate to?
It is. Over there, it's just a whole different culture. Like, if you drop your wallet in a mall, I'd say probably 95% chance you're going to get it back from the person behind you. America?
No.
That's a whole nother ball game right there.
Yeah.
There, too, the laws and, like, the time you'd go away for breaking the laws is so significant, and a lot of people just don't do it. And like you said, too, it's also not only because of the, you know, repercussions, but also because of the family and the disgrace and all that stuff that goes with it.
So theft is dishonorable. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it is.
It is.
It definitely is.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a different society and culture over there, but it's
that's sick, man.
Something else.
And Kaizen, like I view that concept to me is like one of my favorite philosophies, I guess. Every episode, I try to get better at something, and just incremental improvements on whatever your task is. And yeah, you try as hard as you can at whatever you do to get better each time. You're gonna do good things if you live that way.
My mom instilled that in me. She goes, "Ganbatte," and that means stay strong. So like, there'd be times in my life where things weren't going so good, and get up and try it again, get up and try it again. You feel like that failure point, and then she'd like scream that in my ear, and kind of get me to, you know, give it one more shot.
Instead of being like emotional, was there, how are the emotions handled in Japanese culture?
It varies, but I don't know. My mom is very, not very strict, but it's like a different type of love, if that makes sense. It's a type of love that's like, it's not the huggy bear love and here pat on the back love. It's more or less just like showing you love through action, you know. And it's more or less, it's tough love, really.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make you a good human kind of love.
Yes, and you don't even know that that's transpiring or taking place behind the scenes. But as they're making you do difficult things and these chores that you hate, and going to school, you know, extra early, because her biggest thing was always preparation. Like, if you're prepared in life, you're gonna win. And so that means
true.
Exactly. When you go super early to work and you're already ahead of the game and you stay late, all those little fundamentals I had no idea of, she was secretly kind of teaching me. And
That's
when
sick.
I hated them back then, when I got to be an adult,
thank
you, Mom.
They kick it, outwork everyone, dude. Yeah.
And then now my kid who just turned 11, she hates it because I'm slowly feeding her that same stuff too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I was reminded one day you'll appreciate it.
Yeah. So you lived in Japan, school there for a year in 3rd grade. Where are you from originally?
So my parents were living in Pacifica back in 1979. I was born in 80, and they just could not afford to live in Pacifica.
Okay. Even back then?
Even back then. Okay. It just wasn't financially doable for my dad's salary, whatever he was making. And so they moved to South Sacramento. And it was just rough.
Dude,
we had a high-speed chase end in our court. We lived in a court, and all I remember hearing is It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm just a little kid at the time, and I just hear, "Get off your bed, go on the ground. There's somebody out there." And it was my dad with a shotgun.
Dang.
And what we found out later was a high-speed chase ended at our court, and these people were jumping the fences because there was a creek behind our house.
Oh.
And that was the final straw after tons of other events that were not as bad, but bad. And my parents were like, "Let's go to Citrus Heights." And
Yeah.
that's where I grew up, was in Citrus Heights.
What part of South Sac was it?
South Sac, this was right by Kennedy Elementary. I think it was over by like Florin Road, behind the mall kind of over there.
Yeah, man.
So
That gets seedy for sure.
It was definitely something else.
So what was your home life like in child? How was the culture of your home? You talked a little bit about kind of tough love.
So my dad met my mom when he's in the Air Force in Japan, and because he was in the Air Force and she obviously had already that tough love mindset, it was like a double whammy.
Okay.
You know, both of them are just all over me, hammering on me, you know. And I know they loved me because they always provided, you know, clothes and food, and like they just showed me love, but it was almost like I felt like I was getting hit with the drill sergeant every day from both ends, you know. And the home life was good because, you know, my parents are normies. They don't drink, they don't do drugs, they don't smoke. They're just good square bear people, you know. And so I now have one younger sister who's 2 years younger than me, and she was just like them. So growing up, it was cool. You know, I mean, we were never rich, not even close to, you know, middle class, just probably right under middle class. You know, my parents just made it and just kind of got by, and just, you know, but they always, you know, everything was well taken care of. House was clean. Dad was always, you know, busting his butt at work and coming home and doing all kinds of projects with us and stuff. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Your hashtag or your screen name's Sober Gain. So obviously you're sober now, meaning at one point you needed to get sober. Do you think like the pressure built up from childhood and you needed to get relief or whatever? At what age did you start noticing, hey, I think my behavior is going awry?
I know I started dabbling in 7th, 8th grade, hanging out with the darker crowd and things like that. And so, I don't know, I definitely strayed away from my parents around that time because I just felt the pressure from home. I didn't like it. And I just seen other people doing other things that seemed really attractive, you know. And I know that's when I started to head in that direction and just not listen as much and not come home as much. And they didn't like it and they would punish me, but there was always be a way. I'd always find a way around it, you know. And so that's when it really started to just kind of slowly take off in those early years.
Yeah. And was it like drinking in 7th grade, weed?
Yeah. It was just smoking and drinking pretty much, just hanging out with friends and, of course, their older cousins and brothers, you know, the older crowd that kind of mixed in there. So
yeah. What was your social life like in 7th grade?
You know what? I hung out with a bunch of skateboarders and stoners.
Yeah.
You know, 7th, 8th grade, I was just into skateboarding, became really good at it. I got entered in some league called Castle, California Association Skateboard League. Ended up getting sponsored by a surf and skate board shop.
I remember that. I skated. I wasn't good, but I skated for a few years.
Two of my friends, one of them went pro and is still out there killing it, you know, but I just, at a certain point after I got into high school, skateboarding just wasn't so cool anymore. And girls and a pound of weed and a car was a lot better.
A pound. Okay, so you were into kind of dealing it too? And
it eventually got there, Okay. So there was a different, you know, time where all of a sudden I went from smoking to you meet some people that can you get rid of this and that kind of stuff. And when you have, you know, when you're young and you got a car and you're chasing and you're already done with the skateboarding thing and you want to go a different direction and you see these other possibilities start to, you know, open up right in front of you. That's just kind of where it went. I didn't even have a, you know, no plan, just kind of, okay.
You know, it's especially younger kids now, like when they hear weed, they're like, oh, smoking weed, everybody smokes weed. When we were young, it was like extremely illegal. And so the people that you had to be associated with to get weed were like the equivalent of getting meth these days. You know, it might have to go and pick up like a half-eighth of weed, you're almost committing a felony, you know? And so it doesn't sound like a big deal to be getting stoned in 7th and 8th grade. That's a pretty gnarly crowd you're going to run with.
Yeah.
Man.
And back then too, it's more taboo back then. You know, we didn't have these things like weed shops and head shops and little cards that say it's okay to do it and buy it here. It was totally underground, you know? And so either, like you said, either new people. I remember being in high school and having a pager, you know?
Yes.
And that's how everybody would get a hold of me. And then I would make these calls back and then meet 3 people in a parking lot and, you know, or just say, hey, on Friday night, I'll be at this party, you know?
I went to jail for weed. A bowl, by the way. Not anything cool like a pound or whatever. Literally arrested, taken to jail over a bowl. Yeah. People don't even believe me these days.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Doesn't even seem like that's... What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Different times.
Did it cross into drugs or anything at any point?
100%.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Eventually, it's just not good enough anymore, you know? And so, I don't know, probably right after I graduated is when it started crossing over into other things. And I didn't like the sedated feeling. I didn't like the paranoia. It wasn't hitting me the same anyways. Because 7th, 8th grade and in the beginning, you know, parts of high school was more, you know, munchies and just giggling and having fun and just kind of the social thing to do with 6 or 7, you know, friends and, you know, some girls over there and just doing that. But after a while, what happened to me, I don't know if anybody could relate, but I just started getting really paranoid and overthinking things and feeling uncomfortable and just... I didn't like the effects anymore. And then, of course, you meet those other friends that have other substances. And I started doing, you know, cocaine and pain pills because that's just the direction it started to go.
Dude, we got blasted with those oxys in high school, like just flooded out of nowhere. Same thing. I was just smoking a little weed and all of a sudden just boom, here's $40 for a 80 milligram oxy. And it's cool though. It lasts all day. And oops, there goes 5 years.
Yep. I definitely hit that exact same point. You know, it was just, I'd already been out of high school for a while, but, you know, it was started dabbling with the cocaine stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, I want to come down from this. And that's how I got introduced to, it was first Vicodin, then the Norcos. And then, of course, you need a few of those. So might as well bump up to what you're talking about. And
dude.
These green guys. And
the green guys. Oh, shit. Yeah.
That's the era right there, you know? I used to lift up I'd have a black t-shirt on and there would just be dots of green because I would just... lick it off, lick it off. And
get
lick
that
it off.
time release out of there.
People would be like, what? And it'd be underneath my shirt, you know? So definitely.
That stuff's crazy. Like pretty quickly, you get to a point where all you're trying to do is not be sick. It's not like, it's disgusting. You're not even getting high anymore. It's horrible. And like the desperate feeling and almost ready to like beg for it and stuff. And oh, God,
I was right there with you. You know, it goes from the honeymoon phase where this is just fantastic and this is it right here. I love this to, oh my gosh, why do I feel like I have an elephant on my chest and I'm getting hot and cold flashes and my stomach's upset and I can't eat and I feel like I have the flu times 100. Why is this happening to me? And then I realized, you know, people would tell me like, you're physically dependent on this substance, you know, and I didn't even know that at the time. And I remember that first encounter of that. And then from that point on, I always just had to have as much as possible. But you know that it all starts to go.
There's never enough.
There's never enough. It's just, you can't keep up with that demand that, you know, and it's almost like I had it down to a science. I almost knew like about 12 hours here, you know, hopefully the Connect's still going to be around. Christmas is tomorrow, you know, like that, you know, those days where it's like the holidays are coming. You have to be around family, friends. And
try to get as many as you can and not do them ahead of time and fail. So then you're just like detoxing with the families.
Or you overshoot the mark and you do too much to sustain.
Yeah, now you're nodding.
You're nodding and itching your face. And,
oh, yeah, the nose itch. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
I would feel so warm and fuzzy. My parents were like, what's wrong with you? You know, and I'm at Christmas dinners, like literally nodding into my plate. And they're like, are you okay? This is not right.
I'm good.
You know, but they just wouldn't fully understand because, like I mentioned earlier, they're normies. And also, you know, by that time, it's like I have my own place and my own career at the time. And it's like...
Normies are people that don't have addiction and alcohol problems and stuff. Yeah.
Like my mom is like, and dad, it's like they could have maybe 2 drinks throughout the year, one on like New Year's and one maybe like on a summer day and not even finish it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're still like that much in your cup. Like, it's mind boggling, you know, to me. You know?
How did that end? Like, cause you don't do it now. How low did that go? And what was the breakthrough where you're like, dude, I'm done. Was it the first try? Talk to me a little bit about how you got out of it.
There's a long and the short of that. I probably tried to quit countless times on my own and just to try to white knuckle it. I could never make it past more than a day or two because that sick feeling is just something that it's hard to live with when you have an extremely high tolerance, you know, and you're crashing off that and you're trying to slowly get yourself down to taper yourself. It just never worked for me.
Yeah.
Never worked.
Yeah.
So for me, there was a dark period about 4 to 5 years to where, you know, the home that I owned was gone. The cars that I owned were gone. The 3 or 4 credit cards and bank accounts were gone. And I'm going through this period of life of where I'm a frequent flyer to jails, hospitals, and institutions. And I never thought that would ever be this guy right here, me. And what ended up happening my first go around is I got arrested for like the 18th, 19th time. I went to this nasty place called Sacramento County Jail on I Street.
Did you go to the barracks or the floors?
At this time, it's just the holding tank. At the moment. This last go around. Yeah. And I didn't know it was going to be my last go around there, you know. Yeah. And they hauled me off to court a couple days later, and I'm sitting there, and they reviewed my rap sheet, you know, the district attorney and the public defender, and they're like, the jails just don't seem to be working for you. You've already been arrested countless times, and they're all drug and alcohol related. Do you want to change? And that was like the $1 million question. For some weird reason, I got some people who actually cared, you know, and
people in the justice system?
Yeah.
How old were you at that point?
Oh, man, I think I was probably 28 going on 29. 28, yeah.
Okay. So they asked if you wanted to actually change.
Yeah. And, you know, I said yes to that, and they offered me something different that I never heard of before. They put me in a place called Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center. They said it's a 6-month program, but the judge wants you to do 9 months there. And that sounded like a death sentence. I'm like, 9 months in this place right here?
Dude, that's a hardcore program. I don't, just, continue.
Yeah. So they said it's located on E and 9th Street, downtown Sacramento. And I said, what's it like there? They're like, well, it's like 90 guys in a house. You're going to have to work during the day. And then you're going to have all these other different, you know, tools for recovery, you know, after work that they're going to process you through and do all this and that. And it sounded terrible, you know, but the other hand was I'd already been to jail countless times. I'd already experienced being homeless and losing, you know, all the stuff that I acquired out there, not let alone like the important stuff. Like by then my parents wouldn't even talk to me. I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving or Christmas at this time. So they're already, you know, not even a part of my life. And anybody who loved me didn't want anything to do with me at that point. And so long story short, I go into this place and I'm just absolutely broken. I take the deal for 9 months. And that was my first taste of actual true recovery and true sobriety. You know, and that place introduced me to, you know, a 12-step program where I got involved, and I really started to just go all in and catch fire for the thing. And that was the beginning of it, you know.
That's sick. Did you graduate the Salvation Army?
I did.
Dude, I don't know how to explain to the audience what that means, but that's a really big deal. That's a hardcore reform program. Like, people get better because they are putting in so much work. You're up so early, working all day, and then you come back, more work. I mean, it breaks people. People that graduate from that, it's like boot camp times 3 for a lot longer. And I don't want to take from any military boot camp, but I can tell you the stories I've heard, it is pretty hardcore.
It's intense. It's rigorous. It's very structured in a way that it almost sounds daunting. But you're right. You wake up super early. You got to go to work therapy and do whatever your job task is. And on top of that, you're living with 90 other guys who either are mentally ill in a way, or maybe facing other prison time, or maybe they're trying to run it like a prison, you know.
So
and there's all
politics.
These different, there's all this politics and this stuff that just makes it even more, you know, challenging than it already is. And so, I graduated in 6 months. It wasn't easy. There's every day I would see people either get deleted or written up. And what I mean by deleted is like they'd already, you know, got in trouble so many times that it's time to go.
Kick them out.
Yeah. Or they're so rigid to the point where it's like, if you don't check back in by 10 o'clock on a Friday night and it's 10:01, it doesn't matter. Bye.
Yeah.
There's just some stuff that's just a showstopper. It's instantly done. If certain rules are just, it's just not happening.
It sounds hardcore, but addiction is that serious. Like, it's that serious. It's literally life and death. You were fighting for your life. So you want to get out of it. This is how strict it's got to be.
And to be honest, when I went in there, I knew to my core this is what I needed. Like, for some weird reason, there was something just pulling on my heartstrings. Like, as much as I don't want to be here, and this just is like really terrible, and like, why am I even here? I needed every second of that, you know?
That's cool.
Because at that point in my life too, I couldn't keep a regular career. I couldn't manage money. There's just areas of my life that were just annihilated because of, you know, what I suffer from, the addiction. And I just didn't have that skill set anymore. It was just gone. And it almost like it kind of reprogrammed me and restructured me to be able to, when I got out of there, to start to rebuild my life and have some of these skills that I had lost, or, you know, so I definitely needed it, you know. So
what did you do after you graduated?
I actually went to, they sent me to a place that was really cool. They sent me to a place called Mather Community Campus.
Oh, wow.
And it's on the Air Force Base off of Mather and 50. And it was a 2-year free program for anybody that already had graduated from an intense program like Salvation Army. So there's other guys and girls coming out of treatment centers getting into there. And there's an extensive waiting list. It was like a God shot because I had nowhere else to go. I had no other plan, really.
Wow.
You know, I probably could have begged a couple people to let me couch surf for a while and do all that, but
And they might not have, you know?
somebody had a different plan. I got accepted into Mather Community Campus. Back then, it was a federal and state-funded program to where they give you like a Motel 6 room, like a studio, for free for 2 years.
Huh.
And on top of that, they give you like a bus pass, good for, you know, every month you get a new sticker, a $200 food card, and they feed you 3 times a day. And they gave me tons of classes which would help me rebuild my life. Credit class to help my credit that was just annihilated to get rebuilt into what was important and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Also, expungement. I went through an expungement process there because I had all those arrests. And that was, you know, a challenge in itself to be able to get another good career because I'd, you know, done so many bad things. So yeah, they provided stuff like that. And what ended up happening to me, I didn't stay there the whole 2 years. My sister at the time gave me like an opportunity with the company she worked at. And once Mather found out like how much money I was making, like you really can't stay here unless you pay X amount of dollars.
Sure.
Like you're not the typical, you know, like there's a threshold here. And if, you know, you're making money, so you should either be able to live on your own or pay us X amount of dollars.
Fair.
And at that point, I decided to just go ahead and thank them for everything they've done for me. And I exited, you know.
You were there 2 years?
No, it was a 2-year program. I was only there for, I don't know. I think I left on the 7th or 8th month.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But I still continued to do a lot of the same stuff with the expungement process and still go down, you know, different things that the programs that they set me up with was able to continue, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's coming from the bottom, going through Salvation, going through Mather, state-funded. Imagine the people that you're going to be around when something's free, and they're already at the bottom of society. So, full respect, dude. I didn't know that.
It was something else.
Yeah.
And just to make it even funnier, like there's a sophisticated room called the Pea Queen room. And so literally you'd get a knock at the door at 5:30 in the morning and there would be a note saying you have to go see the Pea Queen in the next 4 hours or you're deleted. Meaning like they would randomly do this to anybody there.
Wow.
And so there would be days I'd get up and start doing my stuff. They're like, you know who got deleted today? And there would be like 5 people gone. Because what would happen is they'd get that knock and they'd have to go down there. They'd pee dirty or they would try to not go there and just see what happened. And that's considered a dirty too if you dodge it.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of my friends got deleted. Like, oh man, there's all kinds of, you know, just
That's rough.
yeah.
If you're
but that's
there,
the accountability level that they have because of all what they're offering. The part of the program is 100% abstinence. You can't have anything in your system.
which is not an unfair ask.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So what happened after Mather? Where'd you go?
After Mather, got my own place, career's rebuilding. Things are looking really good. End up paying off my 3 DUIs, and I was facing like I think it was like $4,800 to get my license back.
Dang.
So it was humble pie. I started riding the bus at 28, 29, or whatever age I was at that time, riding the bus to work and getting rides from girlfriends or whatever at the time. And I paid like I think more than half of that $4,800. And all of a sudden in the mail one day there was like some amnesty program, and they had paid the rest of it off for me. Like I don't know, it's still kind of a mystery to this day.
Dude, that's good karma. You were living
I was
right,
trying,
man.
and the rest of it just it fell off.
There's some kind of cosmic force, dude. When you're trying to live right and you're helping other people, which is part of 12-step programs, and you're paying your debts and you're going back and fixing your mistakes. Not just I'm sorry, but atonement, like paying people you owe, acknowledging the hurt. Magic things happen. Like
You're so right.
things get doors open. Things that don't make sense. You know, debt forgiven. Yeah. What were you doing for work at that time?
I was working for a home improvement company, and I was running their entire call center. So I had like 45 people underneath me. I was doing a shift of management and also like some HR stuff and payroll stuff. So I was wearing 3 or 4 different hats, you know, doing it that way. And it was really good. I got to about 3 years of sobriety, and my life had just totally looked different from when I came into Salvation Army. And at right around the 3-year mark I just thought I was different. I thought that I don't need the meetings. I don't need this sponsor guy, you know, with these hard questions. I don't need to go pour coffee for my home group on a Friday night, which sounds inconvenient when I want to go on this date or go to the gym or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And I just started to relax in the program of action. I just started to start to say no a lot, you know?
Okay.
In the beginning, everything was yes.
And did you see it happening as it was happening?
I did, but I didn't. And what I mean by that, it was a very short window. It was all these yeses, and then all of a sudden there was like this 2-month period where I just started to say no. So it was just kind of all of a sudden. I don't know. It was a trip because now looking back, I can totally see it, but in the moment I really couldn't.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Because I was so busy with life and the career and this and some vacations and her and whatever else I was juggling at the time.
Yeah.
And being newly sober for the first time around. And
King of the
actually
world.
having put together some days and starting to get in shape. And there was just other facets of my life that I felt were more important, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The ego grows back. And so I've been honest about it. I was in the 12-step program. I'm not now. I smoke a little weed.
Yeah.
But what people don't understand about like addiction or when that hits you, it never looks like I'm going to just throw 3 years away and you know what? I'm going to risk trying drug. It is so much sneakier than that. It starts real subtle. Hey, we should do this. No, I'm not doing that. And then, hey, do this. And no, I'm not doing that. And before you know it, you're in a state where you're not going to call someone. Like you're not going to be stopped. It's like a flip switches. Is that what it was like for you?
It was. I call those subways. So today, you know, I'm going to be celebrating 13 years of sobriety next month.
Yeah, buddy.
And I call them subways because I still get them to this day. And what I mean by subways is they're like, this train comes by and it's just a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go call this escort. Let's go do this. Whatever it is. These bad ideas, right? And I still get them. And the train stops and I'm at the edge. Do I hop in that train? Nope. Thanks for stopping by. And it goes by. Then the inconvenient train of recovery comes by, like, hey, you got to go chair this meeting in Walnut Creek this Saturday, which I do, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, but I'm going to be there in Walnut Creek this Saturday, right? And so
Respect.
I get these subways all the time with these really bad ideas and these other ideas with contrary action, you know, and that contrary meaning it does not sound like a good idea to go to Walnut Creek and go speak in a couple hundred people on Saturday. It just doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
Especially when this train has a lot more fun on it.
Yeah, some really cool stuff happening over there. But I know where that train ends up. And it's jails, institutions, or death for a guy like me, you know. Maybe there's some other people that are different. It's totally fine. But for me, I know where those trains go, and it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
So what was that relapse like? And like how long were you out? What happened?
It was a short 5-month period.
You could do some damage in 5 months. That's a long time.
Yeah, it was horrific, you know, because for me, addictions, like we talked about earlier too, it's cunning, baffling, powerful, you know, and this time was different because, you know, previously it's like I would have gotten locked up or became homeless or lost a bunch of really cool stuff. None of that stuff happened this time. What ended up happening is this disease went in for the kill.
Oh.
I was found lifeless, blue, full-blown cardiac arrest, dead on my couch in Roseville at the time. Opiates, 3 or 4 days partying with the pretty her and just enjoying. And next thing you know, I'm not even breathing. I get rushed to the hospital by her and my neighbor because they don't even, I was living like a couple minutes away from Roseville Sutter. So it was almost like easier just to throw me in and drive me right to the emergency room. I get there, I don't even know I'm there. And I get woken up to this freezing cold feeling. And I guess that's what Narcan does to you. Narcan reverses the opiate effects. And it takes you from an instant, however high you are, to extremely detoxed.
Yeah.
And we talked about that earlier, the goosebumps, the hot and the cold and all that. And so I'm waking up in the hospital. I have charcoal all over my face because I guess they had charcoaled me because they didn't know if I was poisoned or what. And I'm waking up freezing cold. I look over to my right side, and there's this doctor guy. I'll never forget. He's like 60 years old. Never seen this guy in my life. I'm baffled that I'm even in a hospital. I look at this guy, and he said the most simplest thing to me. He said, young man, if your friends wouldn't have got you here within about 2 more minutes, you wouldn't be with us anymore on earth. And I just like started tearing up. Just Waterworks City in front of some guy I don't even know. The girl that dropped me off, my friend, I don't know, they left or maybe we're out in the other room. And I'm just having this aha moment. And I just kept hearing this stupid cliche that you hear in the rooms of recovery. Jails, institutions, or death.
It's true, dude.
And that's really, you know, and being inches away from death that day, I just made a firm decision. I'm like, I'm going all in. And no matter what happens to me in life, I'm still going to stay all in. And that's all I've really done. That was April 24th is the day I died. The very next day is my sobriety, April 25th of 2012.
Wow.
I walked out of Roseville, Sutter,
And
literally all in from that day to right now.
What was the all in? Like, how was it different this time? Well, saying yes. Like
saying yes is one thing, but honestly is just to continuously give this thing away and to be able to help other people just like me, you know, and that's what I started to really relax on, you know, because it's not convenient to do that when you got a guy who's maybe doesn't smell so good or doesn't look so good. And, you know, he's asking you for this or that.
And it's not easy, dude.
It's not.
You're jumping into the trenches, like where you were at your lowest point. Now you're out of that. You're stepping back down in there. And that, it doesn't smell good. It doesn't feel good. It's an emotional toll.
Right.
So, full respect, man.
Yeah. And that's really where it all started, because like I'd already had that, you know, period of sobriety, and I kind of understood where things really fell apart. And then from there on out, it's like, this is for me, I got to do this thing 100% with everything I got, because my life depends on it. If there is no recovery in my life, I don't have a life, because it's going to be one of those three things, you know, and I pretty much hit all three of them.
Dude,
you know?
I was 15 years I was in there. I didn't have, the longest was almost 10 or something. For a long time after leaving and smoking weed, I would call myself California sober.
Sure.
I stopped that shit because I remember what sobriety looks like. That is no joke. Full respect. No right to call have sober anywhere in the word. But and I forgot what I was going to say about
You're
that.
all good, man.
No, I totally lost it. So
You're good. I mean, for me, the biggest thing is like, I think of my life today, and like when I walked out of that hospital, and all my friends I used to party with, all my friends that I used to think were cool, guess where they are at?
Yeah.
Jails, prisons, or they're dead.
I've
been to so many funerals. I've been to so many jail. There's so much of that. And I don't know.
Dude, it's hard, man. People told, like, when I came in, I was real young, 21, 22 the first time. And people were like, if you stick around here, you're going to know a lot of people that died. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know. And, you know, whatever. But, dude, you do 10, 15 years. I know like 60 or 70 people personally, hugging them, shaking their hand, coffee with them, dead, most of them young, unexpected deaths. And I know military veterans who did tours in Afghanistan that didn't know that many people that died. It's literally life and death, that stuff.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And that's what motivates me too. It's like, I've been to so many funerals, and I mean, it's, you know, you go pay your respects, but then I just look, it's like, I'm one subway ride away is me, just like that, you know? I don't know, I just value it, and I hold it in the most highest regard, because it's like, it's a trip, because I just know where that leads, you know, and it's not good. Versus doing the contrary action, doing the action that I don't want to do, like going to this meeting across town or helping this guy or being of service. It sounds bad, but it leads to such a different life, you know, and it's just,
that's cool.
I'm just blown away still by this day.
What does your life look like today?
Man, it's been really good. You know, there's always been some moments there.
Well, first of all, so when we were in, you know, we used to hit meetings, we'd be in the same rooms and stuff. And what I remember about you is 15, 20 sponsors. Like your entire existence was dedicated to stopping anything at any time, reaching your hand out, driving anywhere. Like that was your reputation. Like if somebody is really needing a reliable sponsor, it's going to be Tony. But guess what? If you're not willing, you're going to get kicked the hell to the curb real quick, because this is life and death, and there's 10 people behind you that are willing. Is that still what your life looks like?
It is, but it's scaled down a little bit. I mean, still, am I rigid like that? Yes. And it's not that I'm even rigid. I just have really adopted the same sponsorship, my lineage, how they sponsored me, how my sponsor sponsored me is just the same way I do it. And it's like, for the way I look at it is, you got to be sponsorable if you want me to sponsor you. Just like you got to be employable, right? If you want a job, don't show up to the job site without the hammer and the tool bag, right? I mean, it's the same concept.
And that hammer and the tool bag is going to be willingness, you
think?
Mm.
It's actually three things. HOW, how? Honesty, open-minded, willingness. If you don't have those three things, you're not willing to do what I do, then you can't expect to get what I have. You know, I mean, it's that simple. If you want what I have and you're coming up to me, I'm all here for you. I'll make the time, but I need to see effort and some skin in the game from your side as well, if that makes sense.
It does. And the hard part is, a lot of people think they have that how.
Yeah.
There's one of our buddies in there would call it the wanna tribe, right?
Oh,
They would,
yeah.
They would want, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They
It
would
hit me a little-
want to be sober, but they actually didn't want to.
Right.
That was heartbreaking to see people just over and over stumbling and just looking at them like, you actually don't want this. You want someone to do it for you, to grab you by the collar. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Man. It's a self-paced, self-accountable program with guides to help you do the work, but you are doing the work. And as 100%. Intense as addiction is, the work is going to be that intense.
100%. And the thing too is like, if you want something different, you got to do something different. Like for me, I was just so far gone that when my sponsor told me to do something, I just did it. There was no like hemming and hawing and maybes and kind ofs. No, I just did it. Yeah. And I'm not any better than anybody. I'm just another guy, shoulder to shoulder with everybody else. But there was just this feeling of like, this is life or death. And it still is, even with 12 plus years, you know, and that's how I sponsor. And it's not, I don't want to water that down for anybody. Yeah. I just don't. No. I don't want to let you cut corners, not because I need some, you know, feeling of like, oh, you did it my way. This is just what this book says. Precisely how we recovered.
Yeah.
So I want to give it to you precisely, you know, and I'm so grateful for that rigid sponsorship, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be in federal prison doing double digits, or I'd probably be buried right next to some of my friends.
Probably.
You know, just like that.
Aren't you glad we got out of that opiate stuff before the fentanyl showed up?
Right.
We'd for sure be dead.
I'd be gone.
100%. It's cheaper, more potent, readily available. For sure dead. It's
100%. But and it's in everything these days too.
Yeah,
people are
dude.
snorting coke, thinking it's coke, and they're dying. And autopsy says fentanyl.
Yeah,
guy never done opiates in his life. You know, and you see that a lot.
See, I didn't know that. I thought, because they talk about fentanyl laced. You know, everything's fentanyl laced. That's not the case. It actually is fentanyl. It's fentanyl pretending to be something else, and so people have no idea, and they're just croaking, dude. It's terrible. So, do you have a relationship with a higher power now?
Absolutely. I think what recovery and these 12-step programs have done for me is to be able to build that relationship and to access that higher power. Growing up, like, I went to church with my parents, but I didn't understand, like, why are they singing and why are they reading these passages, and how come this, you know, higher power, this God thing isn't working for this guy right here? I didn't know how to build that relationship or have that access, but through 12-step work, through good sponsorship, and through just really doing the deal, it's been able to form that relationship. It's almost like a clogged pipe. It's like, here's the pipe and there's all this stuff in here, and Tony's on one side and the higher power's on the other side. But the higher power can't even help me because there's so much wreckage of my past and so much stuff that's clogged. And what the 12 steps have done for this guy is it's cleared away all that wreckage of that past and built that relationship to now this power just flows.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Because that's really what it is. It's a house cleaning, you know. Steps, I don't want to get too much in the weeds a bit, but the basics is, I mean, for me, is steps 4 through 9 is the cleansing part, is to getting that stuff out of there.
Program. And then step 10 is 4 through 9 over and over. Yeah. Step 11 and 12 is keeping the connection. Yeah. Is it God for you?
It is God.
Yeah.
100%, without a shadow of doubt.
That's sick, dude.
And the coolest thing is, too, like, you know, in the beginning, it's like, I believed in God, I'm starting to access God, but then over time, it's just, he's came through in so many different ways, not only for me, but for my parents and hundreds of thousands of people around me, that you just can't even deny it anymore. Just miraculous things that have happened. It's like, I don't know. And I love to be able to see that in somebody else. There's people I've sponsored that are like anti, and that's totally fine.
That's cool, man. Do the work, you know?
And all of a sudden to see them have a relationship with a higher power or God or whatever that may be. It just can't be them, right?
Yeah.
Because if it was you, you would have stopped on your own. So you might need something, you know?
Yeah.
And to watch that happen to other people.
And it also can't be your sponsor. No. And a lot of people think it can be the well, I guess it technically can be AA, but it can't be your sponsor. Yeah. They're just another dude trying to do it too.
And a lot of times too, if I have somebody that's, you know, kind of closed-minded they're not closed-minded, but they're just, you know, very rigid on how they think about it. We use the word group of drunks, you know, GOD, you know, just believe in the group. I mean, you see all these meetings and these places you go to, and not everybody can be lying about what's happened in their life and how good it's gotten from where they were when they came in, right? And so that's the starting point.
And not everybody can be faking that kind of happiness. You know, the thing. That peace.
There's just no way. You know, that's the beautiful thing about AA or 12-step or NA or whatever it may be. It's very clear who does the work and who doesn't do the work. Let me just classify it as that or frame it in as that. and it's okay if you don't do the work, but then there's other people that have clearly done the work, and that's why they're living in a different light, in a different manner, and it's a beautiful thing. It is really something else.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. One thing I always felt bad for with new guys, so I shouldn't say as many, but there are some not good people in there, just like anywhere else in life. Anywhere
there's
else.
More there, actually, because
the problem is they can all quote the same lines from the first 100 pages. They can memorize the parts that can match anything you bring up. And, that's from this book. How do you think new people can differentiate people that are doing it versus people that are acting like they're doing it, but might not be in your best interest? I always felt bad for that because guys would come in and I'd see them link up in certain groups. I'm like, that's a sick, they're not doing it, man. But you can't know that when you're new.
I don't think you're going to know that at all when you're new, just like what you're talking about. But as you start to go down that path with maybe it's somebody that's not really all in or appears to be all in, but they're not, you'll get redirected. You'll know that something's off. It will just come. It's almost like when there's smoke, there's fire, and you'll eventually see it, because there'll be stuff that just doesn't jive with like the basic principles behind each step. There's areas that are going to be kind of like, I don't know. I don't, like you'll definitely have signs of it. Yeah. Very clear signs.
Intuition too.
Yeah. And you might even have the giant neon sign that will show you maybe one day and you'll just know, and I've actually had the pleasure of sponsoring a lot of those people that said, hey, I work with so-and-so, this is what happened. And I just got this feeling and, will you help me? And it just kind of takes care of itself, but it's very hard to really decipher that or see when you're new and you're just trying to latch onto somebody who's appears to be like they're
desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's out there. I firmly believe too, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear in recovery.
That's the truth.
That's really what it is, man. Because
the truth.
I'll never forget the second time when I got out of the hospital. I didn't even know if I really wanted to get sober. I knew I was going to die if I stayed out there, but I just had this feeling of like, I don't want to go do all this stuff again, right? I had this feeling. Yeah. So I go to this meeting, right? And I don't even want to be there, but I know I got to be there if that sounds weird. And I'm sitting by the door getting ready to leave. And there's like 35, 45 people in there, right? And literally, as I'm by the door, there's like 3 minutes to close the meeting. It's like almost over. There's this big, brawny construction worker secretary guy leading the meeting. I would have never talked to this guy. I would have never had Starbucks with this guy. I would have never cracked a big book with this guy. I would have had nothing in common with this guy. And when there's 1 minute left, he points to me and calls on me in front of a group of, like I said, 45 strangers.
Did he know that you were a retread, as they would say?
No clue. Okay. We never seen each other in our lives.
Okay.
And I just got honesty, open-minded willingness, right? I got honest with the entire group of strangers. I just spoke up and said the truth. I just got out of the hospital. I had a near-death experience. If I don't get help after this meeting, I'll probably end up dying or it's not going to be good. I'll probably go drink again or go use again. And everybody smiled, clapped, held hands, prayed like they do when they close out a meeting. And that's when the magic happened right there. That man that was sitting behind that desk, he did something very special for me. What he did is he put the common welfare of a dying newcomer number one in his life. That guy had 5 kids, a busy career flying all over the United States. And the second that meeting clapped out, I started to turn to go to that door. And that guy was like Flash Gordon. He was standing next to me within seconds, right? Dude. Seconds. And he was armed with his big book and the facts of his own story and started 12-stepping me before I could even walk out that door. Because you can see how broken I was, and that was the coolest moment because now that I look back, oh man, like that was a pivotal moment. I ended up staying the next 3 hours in a meeting that I wasn't even planning on going to or hanging out in. And he started spoon feeding me the program right then and there in the back.
Dude, that gave me goosebumps, man. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in life is when somebody like really needs help. There's people that will do anything they can to help the person. And you got to understand when you're coming into AA, there's nothing left. Nobody's going to talk to you. No. If you're at the point where you're willing to go to AA or not willing,
right.
Everybody's done with you. And all of a sudden you've got a place to be. People will feed you, give you coffee, and they will sit down and listen to your problems and give you the solutions mapped in that first 100 pages on how to get out. And it's self-work, it's self-paced, but there's no other place like that. There's no place where you can take someone that doesn't smell good, has booze on the breath, green face, lost all sense of hygiene, self-respect, and just sit with them and share a meal.
You nailed it. Dude, there's just no other place.
I missed that part.
And that's just one side of it. There's also no other place where you see the amount of miracles that come from nothing or below nothing to just something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And Hollywood could not have written my story. Like there's just no possible way that things have been transpired from where I was to what it is today. There's just no way. And I couldn't even have picked it or guessed it. And I'm just one person. I have so many. I have so many friends that I can't even believe what capacity or how their life looks now from when I met them when we first trudged the road and we got sober together 12 and a half years ago. And that's why I get so excited about this stuff, because when I see new people, I'm more pumped up and excited because the opportunity that they have right here, if they just go all in. And they can't understand because it doesn't seem like it. Like, why is this guy so fired up on it? Because I know where this can take you, you know, and it's going to be something else. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be the most rewarding years of your life.
Dude, you literally can't imagine how good life gets if you do that program as hard as you can and dedicate yourself to it. If you do that you can't picture how good things get. And then the fulfillment of helping other people, that's hard to replace after leaving. It kind of happens here a little bit, but it does. I miss parts of that program.
That's why for so many years, I used to wonder, like, why did I go from like having this really good life as a young guy, you know, and having a good career and this and that, all this cool stuff going on, to being homeless, to being like malnourished, 60 pounds less than I am now, like not eating, not physically taking care of myself, not showering, not shaving, living out of a backpack, going through all these jails and these nasty places. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why did this happen to me? Like, why? And then now it makes sense because the darkness of anybody's story, like all that stuff, in God's hands, the most painful, shameful things about any one of us can be like the greatest asset to helping somebody else that's going to walk through that door who's going to need it. You know, because you could have degrees and all this other stuff, but one alcoholic or one addict working with another,
nothing like
there's the language of the heart.
No.
You know, like
you cannot have
you
a
can't
degree.
get that.
Oh, no.
And it makes sense. Like, I didn't understand why that was going through me, but now I have this purpose. And that's why I've taken this thing so serious and I've been so fired up on helping other people. You know, and I owe this debt that it's like, that's why you always heard me sponsor so many guys, because I'm just trying to pay it back. I owe big, you know? And the thing is, when you love something like 12-step program and like you really care about it, you will hold it to a high caliber and you'll do anything to pay that back, you know? And it's just something else. Because if you would have told me my life would look like this and this is how it feel today, I'd have been like, you're on crack. Yeah. You probably need a 12-step program. None of that stuff is happening to this guy right here. Maybe to you, but not to me. And it's just incredible, just the possibilities and the perception change and the shift that takes place by just doing this work.
It's a complete consciousness transformation. Like you go from a completely self-centered person just trying to survive, get more drugs, to like thinking of others and having connection with God. It's so crazy. And then how about like the fifth step, man? Like that stuff that when you live a life like that, you've got skeletons that you're never going to tell anybody because nobody's ever done it.
Right.
And you're desperate enough, you share it, and all of a sudden, the guy you're sharing it to, most of the time is like, oh, me too. Yeah. It's the most liberating thing ever. And I think that translates to people outside of the program too. I think we've all got things that we think nobody can relate to, nobody's done. It was told to me once, if there's a name for it, somebody else has done it.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. It's like when I did that fourth and fifth step, I sat in that park with that big brawny construction worker secretary guy, and you know, like I poured my heart out and I didn't hold anything back because I knew if I held something back, I'd probably drink again or go get loaded, you know. And I remember he asked me the most critical question at the very end of the entire thing. We got done with this 3.5 4 hour deal, and he's like, "No, that was all cool stuff and all, but what's not on the paper?"
Right.
And I just was like, you know, and 2 more things came out. And I'm so grateful he asked that, you know, because I never wanted to write those things down because they were dark. And like you said, it was not only liberating, but it was like a complete just game changer, you know, because I remember just sitting back after we were done and doing like the post fifth step instructions that are in the book.
Yes.
That my book says.
By yourself. And,
exactly. Yeah. And I just had this feeling of like true hope. Like it's going to be okay from here. Like, just stay on this path. It just, this feeling of just, well, no matter what, stay on this path. And it's been that way ever since, man. And then to take that and do it with hundreds of other people and watch them have that same experience. No amount of money.
Life, dude.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's right here.
Do you practice step 11?
I do prayer meditation. Yeah, I recently read this book. I can't even think of the name right now, but it's by Russell Simmons, and can't think of the name. It's on my iPhone, and it talks all about process.
Oh, he does TM, right? Russell Simmons, the music guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Def Jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is like his basic stuff about how to do meditation. Because the book elaborates on some about the 24 hours ahead and the review at night. It talks about it, but it doesn't go into deep details that a guy like me needs. So my sponsor is like, hey, read this book, do this, do that. And so I watch some YouTube videos and stuff. And it's a critical part of the program because with prayer too, it's like, if I don't do it first thing in the morning, once again, this knucklehead's running the show. That's not good because we're going to get in some major collisions, whether that be at work or home life or baby mama life. I don't know, it's just not good. So I definitely got to turn over that will, to him, to my higher power, to God, and things go a lot smoother. And even when they don't, I have a way to be able to clean it up and make it better, and I love that.
Do you ever pray, like ask for guidance or help or whatever, and then get an answer? What does that look like for you when he talks back?
I was praying the other day to put some people, I don't remember exactly how I said it. I was like praying, hey God, whoever, if anybody really needs, I said, put the people in my life that you want me to help. And this other morning I woke up, right? And
that's such a beautiful prayer, dude.
This is a trip. I woke up and I don't wake up at 6:30 in the morning on Saturdays. I just don't. I sleep in, right? I have a kid, but I sleep in. I get this weird feeling at like 6:50. I'm restless in the morning. Like I can't go back to bed. I'm like, what's going on? Like 7:05, this 925 area code number from the Bay Area is calling me. And I'm like, what's going on? Why am I getting, I almost didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
I pick it up, right? And there's this guy on the other line. He goes, hey, this is Kenneth. Are you the guy that's a muscular half Asian guy? Swear to God. Yeah. Are you the muscular half Asian guy who spoke in Danville meeting on a Friday night? He basically knew, on Danville Friday night like a year ago. And I said, yeah, what's going on? And he's like, everything you shared in that meeting in your story is happening to me right now. And another reason why I remember you is I've done tons of meetings. You're the only person that's ever made me cry in a meeting. And I need help right now. So I said that prayer the day before.
That's
and
so crazy.
I mean, how do you write that? Like Danville a year ago, and this guy, what? And he was half Asian too.
Wow.
So I'm working with him right now.
Oh, I was going to ask. Oh, wow.
Not on sponsorship, but yeah, we got to get him to a detox first and do some other stuff prior to like getting the head cleared, if that makes sense.
Dude. Oh, it does.
The book talks about that.
Dude, it takes 30 days to even understand like who you are, where you are. I tell people like, because dude, unfortunately, the stats are not good. Like most people, it's not good, but the people that have done the best generally do a 90-day rehab. The first 30 are a spend dry, like the detox, as they say. They go to a halfway house and they hit a meeting every day for like 2 years. If that sounds too extreme, like you're just not done. Right. Because like when you're done, that sounds like an easy trade-off.
Exactly.
And
that's what we call contrary action.
Yeah. And it's heartbreaking though, because like most people don't make it and they fucking die. They don't, it's not just like their life gets, but they die. That's sad, dude. It's hard to watch. And you're just like, what's it going to take to be willing? How far does it have to go? I don't know if some people are just hard-headed or what, but yeah, I'm glad to hear he needed a little detox help first.
The saddest thing too is many will come. We open the doors like this to anybody. Doesn't matter what race you are. Doesn't matter what your background is. We open the doors to anybody. Any 12-step program is all encompassing. Come on in. But the sad part is many won't do the work and only very few will stay. And that's just the reality of it. And it's not because the 12-step program doesn't work. It's just that not many people are willing to go all in, That's why it says stuff like, rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed our program. The second line is, those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves a simple program. And that's all I've really done is that second line of how it works.
That's when I remember about you.
Completely.
You're doing it. And I've heard at some point that Bill Wilson, who wrote the book, would have changed rarely to never, because never have we seen someone who's...
You did. That's true. Very true.
That's sick, dude. Well, what are you most excited about now, going forward?
I'm in a weird place, too, with my daughter. It's like, she just turned 11 a couple days ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's so fun, right? That we're doing all kinds of cool stuff, but it's like the makeup, the training wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just I'm
going through the same thing with mine, dude.
It's a lot.
And the energy shifts, and you're like, I don't know how to do this, you know?
So I'm just super excited to still be with her with everything, because I have 50-50 custody, but it's like, it's in a kind of an awkward state.
Yes.
But we're still doing all this fun stuff. She's killing it in school.
That's awesome.
We just did 13 weeks of ice skating right here in Roseville.
Yeah.
She loved it. And now she wants to go back to soccer, indoor soccer, because she did it a couple years ago, was undefeated. But just to be there and to have, this little 11-year-old who just has never seen me drunk, who's never seen me loaded, who's never seen me in Sac County Orange. She doesn't even know that person exists.
That's awesome.
So everything I just described to you, my daughter I've been sober longer than she's been alive, and to be able to just be there present in those moments and to be able to share just this incredible life with her, took her on her first cruise and Disneyland's and all this fun stuff. It's just, I look forward to that. Next weekend, we're actually going to Six Flags with a bunch of her friends for her birthday, because we have shared custody. So it's kind of like a split deal, so we do our birthdays a little separate.
Like, how cool is that? Like, your dad's successful, he's strong mentally, he's strong physically, and he's always the same dude. He doesn't drink. She's never going to see you loaded. She's never going to see you drunk. She's going to know the rest of her life. Like, I can call that dude. It's the same motherfucker every time, and he's going to be right there. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
She knows that I'm so deeply involved in recovery too, because she sees people come by the house, and Dad gets this blue book open and reads and stuff, and does stuff with these guys that don't look too happy, or they don't look so good, right? And one day we're at Panda Express, and she opened up this fortune cookie, and it said something to the effect of like, the true joy of life is being able to help others, or something like that. Something like about helping others. And she's like, yeah, this is the wrong fortune. This is your fortune. You're the one that helps the people with the book. And for her to know that, and she's seen me speak at these meetings and all this stuff. And it's just something else, man. Because I got sober. I didn't even want kids. Didn't even want kids. Because all I had to rely on was the past me who couldn't handle anything, who wasn't responsible enough to have kids. But to be in that capacity and to be able to raise her 50-50 custody and just have a really cool life, man, it's been a treat. And that's just one of those things that just, oh man, just fires me up, man. I just can't wait, to spend more time with her.
Dude, you have anything to say to people that want to be done, but they're not done, they're still using, like any people that are thinking about AA or just sober, like, you know what I'm saying? That guy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've never seen anybody's life get worse in a 12-step program. But I've seen hundreds of thousands of lives either die or go to jail by continuing to do that stuff.
Yep. And that
so if you're even pondering, maybe should I quit or how do I, go to a meeting, raise your hand, tell them you're 1 day, 5 days, whatever it is, and get involved.
Or 0 days. Just get in there.
Or just do this. Go to one of those meetings, go all in for a year. If it don't work, I'll buy you your first drink. I've never seen anybody's life get messed up. I've seen lives go from here and just go that way. Has there been challenges and roadblocks and challenges along the way? But it's always gone this way, and I would just give it a shot. I would honestly, sincerely try. If you're even pondering or just on the fence about it, because what's the worst that could happen? Drinking and drugging will always be there. And for some weird reason, if you want to tap out, that's a pretty big sign that it's not working out anymore.
I used to tell people, like, if you're wondering if you have a problem, you have a fucking problem.
Right.
No, people that don't ever think that. They might think, oh, I should quit for caloric reasons and stuff, but nobody's like, I wonder if I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
Normal people aren't thinking that way.
Yeah, not at all. So if you're pondering, give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird too, because a lot of people come in and they have like these preconceived thoughts of what it's going to be like. Set that aside. Go there with just an open mind and just check it out. You never know. I get sponsored all the time. It's like, man, I should have been doing this 10 years ago. Everything you guys talk about, I've been thinking those same things. It's that language of the heart, and if you're an alcoholic or an addict, I mean, there is a way out and we can help, and that's the beautiful 100%. Part about it. Because in the midst of it, I never thought I didn't even know these things existed and had the success rate that they really have. If you really
for people
do it.
that do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the caveat to it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know, because all I had was the people around me that lives were getting worse and going to prison and doing all that stuff, and
if that.
Yeah, it's something else, man.
Anything else you want to share or talk about?
I'll talk about something that I feel on my heart, just because it's something that a lot of people could maybe take something from. When you get sober, doesn't mean life's going to be easy and just smooth sailing, right? And I'll talk about probably my hardest time in sobriety.
Yeah.
The hardest time I've ever had to face. It's about 7 years ago, 8 years ago almost. It was my 5th year of sobriety. And I got a phone call, and it was my parents' neighbor. And she's like, hey, you need to get to your parents' house right now. Something's going on, and there's a bunch of cop cars there. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, parents, there's like the most square bare people. Why would there be cop cars, especially if I'm not there? I mean, this is reality. Like, there was cop cars there when I lived there, but I've been out of the house for a long time. Come to find out, my father had died in his sleep at age 63. Perfectly healthy normie. Shit. He didn't party, he didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do any of that.
That's so young, dude.
He just retired. He barely just paid off the house. Worked his butt off. Just making, at that time, he's just working for DMV at the time, and when I got that heart-wrenching, just tragic, just earth-shattering news to me, when I got that news, I leaned on the program that I'm talking about harder than I ever leaned. I went to more meetings with tears in my eyes, not wanting to go to meetings. I sponsored probably 3 more guys that I didn't even have time for or want to even talk to. And I even picked up a 3rd service commitment, bona fide service commitment in the program, a 3rd one. And because of that diligent effort, it kept me in good stead, and I didn't have to get loaded or reset my sobriety date or go back out. And
did it help with the pain too?
It did, because what I found out is there's a lot of wisdom from other people that have experienced death through sobriety. And I was able to lean on a lot of people and hear other ways that they got through it. And it was really comforting. And I go to the funeral like 2 weeks later, and my mom was there, and she's like, she said something really profound to me. She goes, Tony, your dad died really, really happy. And I'm like, why do you say that? She goes, in the last 5 years, you've been doing those AA meetings. There's been nothing stolen or missing from our house. Because I used to steal from my parents or anybody, right? She goes, in the last 5 years since you've been doing the AA meetings. Yeah, right? She's like, there's been no phone call from any jail, hospital, or institution. She goes, here's the best part. In over 5 years since you've been sober doing the AA meetings, your father and I have been able to sleep sound every single night and not have to check the Channel 3 news or the internet to see if you're dead or going to prison for the rest of your life. 6 months after my dad died, I'm traveling everywhere, living life, just helping a lot of people, just trenched in AA and 12-step program, and just really just experiencing a lot of cool stuff. I get back to California from traveling, and I go see my mom, and her mailbox has got all this mail poking out of it. So I grab this stack of mail. I walk into her house. I give her a greeting, and I look down, and there's this, on the top of the stack of the mail, there's this letter, and it's got my dad's squiggly handwriting, and I recognize it, and it's postmarked to my mom's house on this date. And I'm thinking, there's no freaking way. He's been dead for over 7-8 months. There's no way this could be postmarked today with his handwriting. Like, there's just no way. So I open up this letter, right? And it was a gratitude list. 1 year before he died, he attended a church in Ranch Cordova, and the pastor of that church asked him to write down 3 things that his God did for him that he was eternally grateful for. And on the second line down, this is what it said. It said, thank you, God, for helping my son recover from his drug and alcohol addiction. Your timing is impeccable. And I received that 7 months after he passed away. I literally fell to my knees with just tears of joy. And it was almost like a reminder. It was like a God shot. It was like God and my dad were reminding me that he got to see 5 miraculous years of his son change his life through a 12-step program. But more importantly, my parents' prayers had been answered. I don't know about anybody listening, but my parents prayed for 15, 16, 17 years to stop the drinking, the taking, the destruction, all that stuff that comes with addiction. Yeah. And all because I bottomed out and was willing to come to a 12-step program and just start to do the work and be all in. Not only did it change my life, but it changed their life and so many people around. You know what's crazy too? My mom, she don't call the normie sister when she has problems today. She calls the drug addict, alcoholic son that's burned her, that's put her through hell and back to come help her when she has an issue.
How's that feel, brother?
Exhilarating.
Indescribable.
Yeah, it's something else. I don't even know. Like, how does that even take place? But I take zero credit for it. All I've done is just follow this precise instructions that are in this book and basically copy everything my sponsor showed me. And then I pass that on to a lot of other guys for fun and for free, and then just do a lot of that contrary action. And by doing that, I seem like the luckiest guy on earth. Things happen to me that I'm just like, what the heck? Like, how?
Dude.
You know? And
You're, as long as I've known you, man, you're light, dude. Like the energy coming off you and the friendliness and then the strength and that you just know, like, if I'm with this guy, I can call him.
yeah.
You just know it.
And people say that about me too, because like whenever I call you, you're always there. You know, and if you don't pick up, you call within seconds back. You know, and that's just because I love, like I said before, this program, and I owe so big, man. I try to every day give it everything I got to give it back. You know, with no expectations of anything. That's the funniest thing. Like, I don't care. I don't need anything. Like, everything is taken care of. And all it is just to give that back and pay that forward. And people always thank me. They're like, what can I do to help you and pay you back? You've done so much for me. And I always tell them, you don't got to give me anything. If you want to thank me, you help somebody else. You do exactly what I did for you and help somebody else. Pay it forward. I want zero. I want this thing to continue because a lot of us have kids. A lot of us have other people that might need this thing later. And I want it to be there for them down the road. Where would I be if this program didn't exist? If there wasn't a solution or a way out? I know where I'd be, and it wouldn't be good. You know, and I just love the fact that anybody can do it. There's nobody special. There's nobody unique. We're just all trudging this road, highs and lows. My life isn't like this anymore, like it used to be. It's just kind of gone like this.
Yeah.
You know, just cruising.
As life does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm equipped with tools now to be able to not only get through some of these challenging times and help others and still just really live the best life ever. You know, it's like I'm just astonished. It's still not even like real to me sometimes. Like I think it's a dream, you know, like it's mind blowing what really can happen. And if you would have told me all this years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have believed it. I just wouldn't have. But man, it's an incredible deal.
That's sick, dude.
And just to be able to live it and experience it and do all these cool things, man. What a real treat, you know?
To say the least.
And I've lived both sides of the tracks. You know, a lot of us have.
Yeah.
I know what it is to be homeless. I know what it is not to have clean clothes and have a backpack with, you know.
People don't look you in the eye.
No.
They avoid you.
I was a shoe guy. I would look at my shoes because I couldn't make eye contact with people, you know. And that's the thing, is to not have to live with all that shame and the guilt anymore because of the 12 steps, and to have that stuff be removed, you know, just like we talked about earlier about that pipeline, you know. And man, just that weight lifted off our shoulders. I felt like I walked around with a ball and chain for so long of all that stuff, and I dragged it everywhere, and people could just feel it.
Yeah.
And today I don't have to do that, and I get to help other people take that thing off too.
And you're happy.
Most days, yeah. 9 times out of 10.
Most days,
I've had some funny times.
Of
I've had some
course,
funny
dude.
times, but I have tools, and I have a very loving God that is kind of just always navigated, you know, and open one door or close that door and open 4 more better doors or whatever that may look like. And I just kind of go along for the ride, and I'll laugh sometimes, you know, hey, you know. Another thing that I do a lot too that I'd encourage anybody to do if you ever get a chance is to take a 12-step call. I get leveraged here and there to help.
Explain a 12-step
So a
call.
12-step call is when you're dealing with somebody that's like a live drunk. Like they're still kind of drinking, but maybe a family member contacts you and wants them to sober up or get help because they can see it with their, you know, family member that they're not in a good place. And so one day, it was like a Tuesday afternoon. I'm busy doing all this work stuff, and this lady's like, "Hey, I got your number from so-and-so. Is there any way you would help my brother? He's a successful business owner, and I've been asking him for years to stop drinking because it's just continuously getting worse. And I feel like something bad's going to happen if he doesn't get help." And I said, "Sure, I'll go by there." And I go by this house, and I get in the house, and he's located in the master bedroom, and it gets really, really strange. I walk in the house, and he's butt naked in a blanket shaking.
Yeah,
And there's handles and leaders all over the ground.
Crap.
And I'm like, oh, all right, God, this is what we're doing on Tuesday afternoon, right?
Okay.
You know? And I have a talk with him, and
This is what we're doing.
yeah, this is what we're doing. This is Tuesday afternoon, guys. You know, unexpectedly. Just go help some people. And I talked to him, and at the end of the conversation, he's like, "I just don't even care about treatment. I don't care to live. I don't, whatever." He's just blowing me off, and that's totally fine. You know, just wanted to talk. I just came over because your sister wanted me to come by and talk to you.
I don't want
know?
anything from you.
Nothing,
I don't
zero.
need you to
Made
do
it very
anything.
clear.
That's the difference. The 12-step call. People don't understand. You're going into dens with needles. You're going.
Oh, yeah.
And when
dark side.
people realize that you don't want anything, you're here to spend time with them and show them love and give them encouragement. You watch their whole fucking world shatter of what they thought AA was, of what they thought humanity was. All they're receiving anywhere else is negativity and shame and anger and disgrace. And then another human comes in who's bright behind the eyes and sober and tells them, you can be all right if you follow me and do what this book says.
100%.
That's incredible. There isn't anything like that on earth. There's no other
place.
People that will maybe church, but not that level.
Right.
The 12, dude, you're going literally
in the trenches.
Yes.
Front lines.
As nasty as it gets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Long story short, he declines everything, doesn't want to recover, whatever, and
course,
that's fine,
of
you know.
course.
And I gave him a hug and I said a prayer for him and I walked out, you know. And the next morning, my phone's blowing up at like 6:30 in the morning, and he's like, "I'll do anything to get help. What do I need to do?" Da 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 da. And the sister calls me and she's like, "I just want to thank you for coming by, and I got to know something. What did you possibly say to my brother to convince him?" She's like, "My whole family and myself have been begging this guy for like 3 years to just stop and change and be willing to do something different." And I told her straight up. I said, the magic is I never asked him to go do anything. I never asked him to go. All I did was in a general way shared like what I was like, what happened to me, and what my life is like today from getting in recovery.
Yeah.
And he made that decision on his own. He arrived there on his own. Never asked him, no pressure, nothing. She's like, all right. So we get him into treatment, and he's supposed to call me on like the 35th or 36th day to just, I don't know, check in, see how he's doing, whatever. And instead, I get a call from her. And she's like, "Tony, I really want to thank you for everything you did for my brother. But the day he got out of treatment, he drank himself to death in the same bedroom that you helped him in."
Wow.
Right after treatment. And she's like, "I really just want to thank you, but she's like, I just can't believe he's gone, you know?" And that just goes to show once again, you know, like on one side, I have these beautiful, you know, lives of sponsees and friends that are trudging the road and people that are in recovery and even in myself that are having these incredible moments, being on fire for this program, living life to the fullest, helping others. But on the other side, it shows the deadly earnestness of this disease.
That's really
from somebody
AA.
who wanted it, who started to do it, but somewhere between 30th day and 35th day, that one last time was it.
Yeah.
Was it.
That's AA,
you know?
dude. You see
and it's
death.
like it's a reminder too, because like nobody's invincible. If you're an addict or an alcoholic, nobody's got this special force field that just lasts forever. Mine evaporates every night at midnight, and I got to do something else the next day to put it back on, that armor, you know? It's like, I can't, the step work I did 3 days ago is not going to carry me through next week. It's just not, you know? And that's just a reminder. I'll share one last thing in closing with you that was a pretty interesting moment. I was asked to speak at this meeting in Roseville, and it's located around all these bars. I
know the area.
Perfect place for it, right? And I don't want to go there, and it's on my calendar, and I'm going there, and I parked the car, and I start walking past these bars, right? And it's starting to get dark. And I look over to my right, and I see like a bench in front of a bar, and there's somebody sitting on it with like 3 different bags on the ground. And as I'm passing this person, I'm walking by them, they jump up, and they grab me and like hug me and start crying. And it's a woman. I can feel it's a woman. It's not a guy. And I pull this person back, and it was the girl who saved my life that I was dating. The day that she took me to the hospital when I almost died. And she was unrecognizable. She's a beautiful blonde lady, and she didn't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
Scabs and marks and an abscess on the side of her hip, and everything she owned was sitting right there. And as she's holding me and I'm pulling her back, she's just saying, "I wish I would have stayed. I wish I would have stayed. I wish I would have stayed." And what she was talking about is when I first got sober after I left the hospital, we both decided to do recovery. No. And we started doing it together, well, independently, but, you know, both doing it. About 60 days later, she just did her own thing and just exited the rooms, the program, and just went off, to doing her thing. And I just kept going. And then now it's like full circle. Like I'm witnessing like where I would have been, you know, or maybe even worse. But to see that, and she's like, you know, "I wish I would have stayed. My mom has you on social media and just says your life is just crazy good and different." And she can't even believe it herself. And she's like, I need to get sober, And I even offered, I didn't tell her I was speaking, but I said, "There's a meeting like literally 3 doors down. Maybe you want to go. That's where I'm headed," you know? She never decided to go.
Wow.
And it's right there.
That's how crazy
That's how crazy
dude.
it is. I didn't want nothing for her. I'm just like,
And there's nothing you can do.
Nothing. We're beyond human age, what the book says.
Yeah.
And it was just like a total reminder, man. It's like, you know, It's like, that's where I was supposed to be that specific day. I mean, how does that even happen? Like the coincidence, you know? And I've just had so many of these things happen in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just astonishing, but yet there are subtle reminders too, you know, because one bad subway, one bad decision away, I could be right there, you know, and I don't wish that upon anybody.
Yeah.
And I just want everybody to know that, you know, it's out there and there's an extension for it. It's like, I just want to be able to help them in any way possible if they're open to doing recovery or want to change their life.
There's a way out.
There really is. There truly is.
I'm so glad we got this information out, man. I did not think it was going to go this direction. And that was beautiful, man. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being so honest and raw. And this was amazing to sit in this with you. And
likewise, man.
I'm not in that program anymore. And like, this shifted my perception and my memories of that program.
Yeah.
I remember all the beautiful parts, and I have not remembered those the last few years. I've remembered the parts I didn't like and used that as like, so thanks for coming, dude.
Honored to be here. Thank you for having me. It's been phenomenal.
Man.
Yeah.